My name is Claudia. I am 27 years old. I am a wife, and I am a mother. From the outside, my life looks simple and complete. I have a husband who works hard. I have a son who laughs loudly and fills the house with noise. Many people would look at my life and say, she is lucky. For a long time, I believed that too. My husband's name is Stephen. He is 31 years old. He works in an office in the city. Every morning, he leaves the house before the sun is fully up. He kisses our son on the head while Bob is still half asleep, then grabs his bag and rushes out the door. At night, he comes home very late. Most evenings, Bob is already in bed when Stephen arrives. Stephen eats his dinner quietly, watches a little television, and then falls asleep almost at once. His body is always tired. His mind is always somewhere else. We have been married for 4 years. In the beginning, we talked a lot. We laughed. We planned our future together. Now our conversations are short and careful. We talk about bills. We talk about school forms. We talk about what Bob needs for tomorrow. We do not talk about us. We do not talk about how we feel. We do not ask questions that might open doors we are too tired to walk through. Most of my days are spent with my son. Bob is 5 years old, full of questions and energy. We eat dinner together at 6 o'clock every evening. I sit across from him at the table and listen to his stories. After dinner, I help him with his bath, read him a story, and tuck him into bed. When the house becomes quiet, I walk back into the living room alone. I sit on the sofa and listen to the silence. Sometimes I look around our home and feel strange. Everything is in its place. The house is clean. The fridge has food. We are doing what a family is supposed to do. Yet inside me, something feels empty. I feel like I am managing a life instead of living it. I feel like a caretaker, not a partner. Like a mother who is also a wife, but never just a woman. I often wish Stephen would look at me the way he used to. I wish he would sit next to me and ask how my day was, and truly listen. But most nights, I go to bed alone, even when he is sleeping beside me. I had a husband. I had a child. But every night, I went to bed feeling alone. Martin entered our life quietly, the way rain enters a room through a window you forgot was open. He was Stephen's best friend. They had known each other for years, long before I became Stephen's wife. Martin came to our house often, usually to see Stephen. But Stephen was rarely home. Most evenings, Martin would knock on the door while the sun was already low. I would open it with Bob standing behind me. Martin always smiled when he saw my son. He bent down, talked to him like Bob was important, like his words mattered. Sometimes he brought small toys. Sometimes just a candy or a silly story. Bob loved him instantly. Stephen used to say he would fix things around the house. A loose shelf. A door that did not close well. A light that flickered. But Stephen was always tired. Always busy. Always tomorrow. Martin never said tomorrow. He picked up tools and fixed things without being asked. He did not complain. He did not rush. He stayed. When Stephen was not home, Martin sat with us. He listened when Bob talked about school. He asked me questions about my day. Real questions. Not the kind you ask while looking at your phone. When I spoke, he looked at me. He nodded. He reacted. He remembered what I said. One evening, while Bob was drawing on the floor, Martin looked at me and said, "You're a good mother, Claudia. You do so much." The words were simple. But they landed inside me like something I had been waiting for. Stephen had not said that in a long time. Maybe he thought it. Maybe he was too tired. But hearing it out loud felt different. It felt warm. I told myself I was just grateful. I told myself this was normal. Martin was kind. Martin was helpful. Martin was Stephen's friend. There was nothing wrong with that. But slowly, I started to notice changes in myself. I waited for Martin's visits more than I should have. When the doorbell rang and it was him, my chest felt lighter. The house felt less empty. When Stephen called to say he would be late again, Martin looked at me with sympathy, not excuses. He did not tell me to be patient. He did not tell me Stephen was working hard. He just said, "That must be hard." That sentence stayed with me. I knew something was wrong the moment I started comparing. I compared the silence Stephen left behind with the presence Martin brought. I compared how invisible I felt as a wife with how seen I felt as a person. And the comparison scared me. At night, after Martin left, I lay in bed next to Stephen and stared at the ceiling. Stephen slept deeply, exhausted. I told myself this was my fault. That I was weak. That I should be grateful for a husband who worked so hard. A son who was healthy. A roof over my head. But gratitude did not fill the empty space. I tried to pull away. I reminded myself again and again, this is wrong. Martin is married to no one, but I am married. Martin is a friend, not an answer. I told myself feelings are just feelings. They pass. But feelings grow when they are fed by absence. One night, Martin stayed late. Bob had already fallen asleep. Stephen called again, apologizing, promising to come home soon. Martin sat across from me in the living room. The TV was on, but neither of us was watching. The room felt quiet in a way that was not lonely. For a moment, I caught myself thinking something I should not have thought. Why does he see me, when my husband doesn't? That question frightened me more than anything else. I did not fall in love. I fell into being seen. That night began like so many others. Stephen called just after dinner. His voice was tired, already far away. He said he would be late again. I said I understood, because understanding had become a habit. I hung up the phone and stood in the kitchen for a moment, staring at nothing. Bob finished his homework and went to bed early. The house grew quiet, the kind of quiet I knew too well. Martin was still there. He had come earlier to see Stephen, like always. We both knew Stephen would not make it home before midnight, maybe not at all. Martin offered to leave, but I said it was fine. I told myself I was just being polite. I went to the bathroom to take a shower. I remember closing the door, turning on the water, letting the steam fill the small space. For a few minutes, I stood under the warm water and let my shoulders drop. It felt good to be alone. Then everything happened at once. There was a loud crack, sharp and sudden, like something snapping inside the walls. The water pressure changed, and in seconds, cold water burst from under the sink. It rushed across the floor, fast and unstoppable. I screamed without thinking. Panic hit me before logic did. Martin heard me. He ran to the bathroom door and pushed it open. Water was already rising around our feet. My heart was racing. I didn't know where to touch, what to turn, how to stop it. I felt helpless, ridiculous, small. Martin moved quickly. He reached behind the sink, twisted the valve with force, and after a few long seconds, the noise stopped. The water slowed, then settled. The silence that followed was loud. We were both standing there, soaked. My clothes clung to my body. His hair was wet, drops of water falling onto his face. We were breathing hard, like we had run a long distance. The bathroom felt too small for two people. For a moment, neither of us spoke. I became aware of things I should not have noticed. How close he was. How warm the air felt despite the cold water. How fast my heart was beating, not from fear anymore, but from something else I did not want to name. Martin looked at me. Not the way a friend looks. Not the way Stephen looked at me anymore. His eyes searched my face, like he was asking a question without words. I should have stepped back. I should have laughed it off. I should have said, "Thank you. Please go." But I didn't. He reached out and touched my face, just lightly, as if checking if I was real. That touch crossed something inside me. I didn't move away. I didn't stop him. When he leaned in and kissed me, my mind went quiet. That kiss broke a line I had been guarding for months. I wish I could say it was sudden, that it was a mistake made in a second. But the truth is harder. Part of me had been walking toward that moment for a long time, step by step, pretending I wasn't. That night, we betrayed everything. In Martin's arms, I felt something I had not felt in years. Wanted. Seen. Alive. My loneliness disappeared, replaced by warmth and closeness. I forgot about Stephen. I forgot about being a wife. I forgot about right and wrong. I only felt. But even in that closeness, fear was there. I knew this was dangerous. I knew this was not love. It was escape. It was hunger. It was the sound of something empty being filled too quickly. Still, I did not stop. When the night ended, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to Martin's breathing. My chest felt tight, not with regret yet, but with the weight of what I had done. I told myself I would deal with it tomorrow. I told myself I deserved to feel something again. But deep down, I knew the truth. This was not the beginning of something beautiful. It was the moment everything cracked. For the first time in years, I felt alive. And that scared me. The morning after felt unreal. I woke up alone. Martin was gone. No note, no message, no goodbye. The space beside me was cold, as if the night had never happened. For a brief moment, I wondered if I had imagined everything, but guilt arrived quickly, heavy and sharp. I checked my phone again and again. There was nothing. That evening, the truth reached me before I had any chance to escape it. Stephen came home earlier than usual. His face was tense, his jaw tight. He didn't kiss me. He didn't even take off his jacket. He stood in the middle of the living room like a stranger and said quietly, "Martin told me." My heart dropped. He didn't shout at first, and somehow that scared me more. His voice was low, controlled, but trembling underneath. He asked the question even though we both knew the answer. "Did you sleep with him?" I couldn't lie anymore. I nodded. The silence that followed felt violent. Then Stephen exploded. Years of exhaustion, pressure, pride, and pain poured out of him at once. He said I was selfish. He said I didn't understand how hard he worked, how much he sacrificed for our family. His words cut deep, but they didn't stop me. For the first time in years, I shouted back. I told him he was never there. I told him I raised our son alone, ate dinner alone, went to bed alone. I told him I disappeared in this house and he never noticed. I said Martin did. The words came fast, sharp, desperate. They were true, but truth doesn't erase betrayal. We were both yelling now. The room felt smaller with every sentence, heavier with every breath. Then suddenly, everything stopped. We heard a cry. Soft at first, then louder. Bob stood in the hallway, his small body shaking, his eyes wide with fear he was too young to understand. He cried as if something inside him had broken. Stephen dropped to his knees and pulled our son into his arms. In that instant, my anger collapsed into shame. This was no longer just about us. Stephen looked at me then, not with rage, but with something far worse, hurt. Quietly, he said, "We cannot do this to him." I nodded, unable to breathe. And in that moment, I understood something painfully clear. The deepest wound was not between Stephen and me. It was inside our child, and we had both helped create it. Stephen cut Martin out of our lives completely. There were no long conversations, no explanations, no second chances. One phone call ended a friendship that had lasted years. Stephen said it was necessary, and I agreed. Some doors, once closed, must stay closed if a family is going to survive. After that, Stephen tried in ways I had not seen before. He came home earlier. He ate dinner with us. He helped Bob with homework, bathed him, read stories before bed. He was trying to be a better father, a better husband. I could see the effort in his tired eyes. I stayed. I chose our family. I chose responsibility. Not because it was easy, but because it was right. We did not suddenly become happy again. Love did not magically return. Trust did not heal overnight. Some nights, we sat on opposite sides of the couch, close enough to touch, but not close enough to feel safe. We talked more, but carefully, like walking on broken glass. We never spoke about Martin again. Silence became our agreement. I learned something painful and important. There are mistakes you cannot erase. You cannot undo them. You can only carry them honestly and decide what kind of person you will be after. I live with the memory of that night, and I always will. It does not disappear. But it no longer controls me. It reminds me to be present, to speak before loneliness grows, to never disappear inside my own home again. This marriage continues, not perfect, not healed, but real. And sometimes, real is all you can ask for. Emotional loneliness is dangerous. Being seen matters. And one mistake can change a family forever. If this story made you feel understood, like it helped you name a quiet pain, please like this video. Share your thoughts or lessons in the comments. And subscribe to keep learning English through real-life stories with deep emotions and honest endings.